Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about Starlink future. So let's dive right into it. Now, first thing we have to understand what is the idea behind it. Now, I have covered every aspect of Starlink in detail and I provided the links down below. But let's just start with the basic. What's the idea behind this? The idea is very simple. They want to make www into an actual www, World Wide Web. Basically, they want to become worldwide internet service provider. Now, the main point is there are many companies that actually do this right now, but none of them have broadband or low latency. There are some low Earth constellation like satellite mobile system that do provide like quote unquote broadband, but their latency as is like very ludicrously. I am talking about 600 millisecond to almost a second, like a whole second of lag. So flat out, these two things are like not compatible with satellite internet. However, the sole reason SpaceX can actually achieve this is simply because they are planning to utilize LEO satellites. What does that mean? That simply means the satellites are very close to Earth's surface, low Earth orbit, aka below 5,000. So how low we are talking about? We are talking about around 500 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers. So they are very close. So that means the ping time is inherently less. And in practical real life, they are achieving pings of around 20 plus to 40 on average in real life. I'm not talking some mathematical data, real life. Now they need two things to make this puppy work. Actually, the first is ground station, basically, which will gonna act as a primary trunk to transmit the data, and second, laser interlinks, because like again, you can't have ground station everywhere. It would be way too expensive, way too ludicrously difficult also, and not to mention regulation rules, hoo-ha, you do not want to deal with that. So you need laser interlink. Basically, satellite, it should become basically a way to carry the data. Right now what Starlink is doing is just acting as a quote-unquote space relay. So you have a customer sends the data to satellite beams it back to ground station does the back. Like that's all it's happening. Now because it's in low Earth orbit, that's why the latency is so low, but inherently a satellite, if you are on another satellite, it still has to do the same thing. It cannot go satellite to satellite, and that's what they have to achieve in order to give global coverage, because there are many places, let's say some islands, where you can't have what you call ground station. How the heck you gonna give the coverage? Because the nearest land mass could be like 2 satellites away, basically like satellite footprint away. So in those sort of scenario, laser interlinks is compulsory, and they were planning they're planning this from day one. And heck, if you remember the very first Starlink satellite launch, which was 2 satellites, they also had laser interlinks, but right now they were not utilizing it. So what they have achieved so far, as in like when I'm making this video, now they have exceeded 1,000 satellite. Now to give you a context of that, that is lot of satellite, as in idiotically large amount of satellite. And another aspect is, if you count a lot of CubeSats, there are many CubeSats that hundreds of which have been launched in single rocket. So that's not a big deal, but you have to understand these satellites are not CubeSats. These are big satellites. Because so many are packed together, it does not give you an accurate sense of scale, but these are huge. And in terms of weight, these puppies can weigh upwards of 240 to 250 kilograms. Yes, this is almost a weight of a motorbike. So these are big, heavy things. Now they are designed in such a way they can be stacked properly, and because SpaceX was controlling every aspect of the production chain, including the rocket, they designed it to be so robust that does not require what we call foam insulation on the fairing coverage. That allows them to pack a bit more. Like that's the whole point of vertical integration. They were like, okay, let's make the satellite more robust. That actually makes the idea of taking the second stage and just whipping it around. It's like whip, throw the satellite. So fundamentally they are very, very high. And the reason why I'm making this video is they have finally achieved laser interlink. There was recently SpaceX made a launch, world record quote unquote, of launching around 140 plus satellites, and in those they had 10 satellites that were specifically targeted for polar orbit. Now the polar orbit is primary importance is to Alaska. Now you cannot classify yourself ISP in like worldwide if you can't cover Alaska specifically, and that matters for US regulation reasons. So they have to make sure that Alaska is well covered, and polar region also is like Antarctica and North Poles and all that jazz. They also should also be covered. To achieve that, they cannot have ground station nearby. The only way to achieve that is having laser interlink, so satellite could talk to another satellite. So satellite to satellite to satellite to satellite, and then you reach the ground station. So that is compulsory. Now they have already done the testing in the first launch. Then they were like, dude, right now we could not mass produce it. So they started the service anyway, utilizing without the laser system, and they have achieved good results with that only. It's like right now all the satellites are just a relay station, but still because of the volume of it, they are doing good work with that, and lasers have been already tested. That's why I'm saying right now, at this moment in time, they are at least 10 to 12 years ahead of almost every other company that is claiming to do this. Amazon is the company that has the largest bank balance to actually achieve this, but they have nothing. I mean, flat out, they have nothing. They do not have rocket engine that have actually been reused, as in like technically go up and come down and reused. They do not have rockets that are completely built. They do not have satellites. They have nothing, and they have the biggest bank balance. And there were other companies like OneWeb which did try to do this same thing, but they went bankrupt, and government has owned it. Like UK government owns the 50% of it and controlling interest, and then another aspect is India Airtel holds the second half of it. But again, because it's a government owned and government needs it for military reasons, and because the UK left the European Union, they are no longer associates of EU, so they are no longer in Galileo system, so they need it for more than basically internet. They need it primarily as a GPS replacement. So basically EU's GPS replacement was Galileo, but because of the political hoo-ha, they are like UK cannot utilize Galileo anymore, so they have to build their own system quick and dirty. So this system, that's why OneWeb was bought. So if anybody gives you like, hey, OneWeb has been tested, we have satellite internet, we always had it, that was never an issue. It's just that broadband, low latency, and the satellite count of 1000, that's the interesting part about it. And at this moment in time, SpaceX is planning to upwards of 30,000 satellite. Let that sink in. 30,000 satellite. Now they do have very high failure rate with these puppies. They are failing at around 1% to 5% failure rate, so they have to bring it down. That's not acceptable for like satellites, but they have to bring it down. So far, flat out, there is no competition unless somebody government-wise blockers, which Jeff Bezos is known to do. Because like, dude, FAA, like, you know, buy a launch pad. You don't have a rocket. Why the heck you want to block a launch pad if you don't have a rocket? It's like same thing as that. Right now, they are way ahead of the pack. And given the fact that they already tested the laser system, they are already in a position where they're like, yeah, they're gonna take over without any issue. Now it's one thing to talk about on paper or specs or things of that nature, another to actually have public beta, which they already did. And flat out in UK, USA, Canada, Germany, and Australia, I accidentally typed Germany again, all these places, they have already tested it. Now again, not hundreds and thousands of people are using it, but more than enough people are using it that at this point in time, we have a good scope of understanding where it's like, we understand this. So flat out results are in, people are paying for this, and people are happy to pay for this. So that's the whole thing, because many people are like, dude, $500 is a big amount of money. Like there are very few people who can just like, 500, just take it and go. $500 is a big amount of money, and on top of that, $100 per month is still no laughing matter. But there are more than enough people that are willing to do this. Heck, they are back ordered at this point in time. So flat out, the results are in, like people are in a position where they're like, shut up and take my money. So remote location never had this good. Now this, when I was looking through the basically testimony of the customer, I realized how lucky I was that I'm in India, because I live in a small town, like very small town. And in this town, I had my first computer in around 2009, and I had BSNL broadband internet that was 200 Mbps. There are people in USA that have, like, if they are lucky, they will get 2 Mbps flat out in USA. Now this is not because like US government is not working, simply because corruption is too goddamn high. Like US government is literally paying all the ISPs, like, dude, take my money, lay the fiber from, like, you know, your main primary hub to this remote location, because we have like voters there, please do that. We are paying you, you charge the fees whatever you have, we at least lay the foundation there. They're like, nope, we're gonna take your money and we're gonna say lol. So that's why, because of that corruption, the remote location internet service is bad, as in so bad that it makes my current internet of 300 Mbps with a 3 terabyte looks really good. And if I'm not even a dare to tell the price, because it's like, it's free comparatively speaking. So flat out, every person who is getting this in remote location, I'm not talking about you know, urban areas, I'm talking about rural areas, they are like, shut up, take my money, and they are happy for this. Another aspect of it, you will notice that if you wanted to get a license for launching satellite, the more satellites you want to launch, the more issues you will have. But somehow SpaceX is getting very expedited process. It's like, oh, you want to change a new satellite orbit, you want to lower the satellite, okay, take it and go, take it and go. It's like everything is sped up. Like, why the heck that's happening? Why there is so much lubrication here? Now the lubrication is not money, the lubrication here is army. Now army also needs to have their own communication backbone. However, they also want a non-blocked non quote unquote proprietary system. system, because if you have only one pipeline, let's say this US military has their own MEO satellite constellation that is utilized for internet and everything else, it's also very heavily encrypted, which means if you have 2-3 layers of encryption, it's inherently slow, and you don't want to utilize that for everything. But people in like a larger sea flotillas, in like, you know, your aircraft carriers, your destroyers and all that, they need internet service, and if they're gonna utilize the goddamn triple encrypted system, it's gonna slow down the main system. So yeah, they want to have one pipe for general use and one for proprietary use. So they have the proprietary one, and they're like, what if we utilize this for, like, you know, our main system? And everywhere where they are utilizing this, army is testing this out, they are like, shut up, take my money. And I'm reasonably sure that is why US government is like slowly expediting SpaceX launches so quickly. It's like, oh, you want to launch 30,000 satellites, take it and go. Oh, you got the orbit, man, just take it and go. So why the heck that's happening? Army. Another aspect, army is about boom bam bam and, you know, sending people to heaven or hell, whatever, up to you. But what about like good services? Emergency services are also very happy about it, because recently there was a lot of wildfires, and when you had this wildfire, there was some rural communities that were trapped inside it. Basically everything around them is burning and they are trapped inside. Now emergency responder tried to reach there, but they had very hard time trying to communicate back to the mainland. Basically, hey, send this sort of supplies, send this sort of medications, and they had no communication. Starlink to the rescue, broadband communication, more than enough data bandwidth to take care of all, and SpaceX made a special commitment to make sure that they get a priority data package routing, and if they were also very happy. So at this point in time, beta is out, people are utilizing it, people are happy for it. I'm very clear, remote rural areas, not in a, you know, city area and all that, just especially not in India, because like we have very high speed internet, fiber internet. I'm talking like in my small town, if I'm willing to pay for it upwards of like $100, I'm gonna get 1 terabyte connection. So I'm not talking about rural area, basically urban areas. I'm talking loosely packed areas. These are awesome. Army bases are like, we need this, need this now. So that's why they are getting expedited so quickly. Now, one thing you have to understand, I have read the comments in my videos and all that, and I've realized a lot of people see this as like, you know, they're gonna be free from oppression. The sad reality is, no, government can still control it, and government can still ban it. Flat out, government can say, lol, no, I don't want like, you know, my citizens to actually access internet, so F them, and block, sell and purchase of this equipment will be flat out, you will put down. So fundamentally, government can legally, within their constitutions, and I'm talking about like globally, they can flat out ban it. Another aspect is ground stations are still, they have to be there. Like you cannot expect to service India from utilizing ground station of USA. You cannot do that. Fundamentally, the bandwidth, even with laser communication, will not work that well. You have to have, you know, one in India, at least one in each country. So if you have ground station, government controls it flat out, because you are on their country, you're on their ground, they control it. Another aspect is their airspace. Because if you flat out, let's say disagree with them, it's like, no, we're gonna send the signals and all that jazz. First of all, how the heck you gonna smuggle your equipment in? And even if you smuggle the equipment, because of the radio astronomy, they can figure it out who is utilizing that, and that person would be expedited, let's just say. And flat out, they can say, we're gonna block it, the system. If the country is not as powerful, if the country is as powerful as USA or China or India, bad things could happen. Things can escalate very quickly. And I'm not joking about that. So be very mindful. Government is the ultimate big boss of this puppy. So flat out, if big boss is like, I'm not happy with you, yeah, bye bye. So be very mindful. Do not see, oh, Chinese people can get the access to internet, lol, no. Indian people can get access to unfiltered internet, lol, no. So be very mindful about that. So what we can expect in the future? Well, when I was making I'm making these videos for around 1.5 years, I was like, my primary concern was, what if all the competitors, basically all the telecom companies, instead of being corrupt, they are like, hey, this person is going to take away all whatever remaining customer we have. What if we actually do the work that we are getting paid for, and like, you know, just do work once in a while, like, you know, work 1 year up and then drink up money for 12 years. What if they did that? Right now, the answer is they are not. They are still in their slumber. They are like, dude, I don't care. So at this point in time, given the fact that SpaceX have already achieved 1000 satellite, and their current rate, by the end of 2022, they will have laser interlinks and worldwide coverage. And unless the regulations stop them, they will have absolute system coverage. At that point in time, these telecom company will simply wake up one day and they're like, wait a minute, why the heck we are losing customers that quickly? So at that point, they have to reduce their prices, which will reduce their profit, which will reduce the R&D they can do for better and improved system. The system quality will go down, and more people to switch to Starlinks. So flat out, That's not an issue anyway, but regulations still are, because government can simply say, hey bro, we cannot track whatever which person is doing, so if you so we have to be very mindful. Regulations are a very big deal, and especially for international market, it's a very messy situation. Now, another aspect is, assuming regulation does not block it all, then another choke point will appear, that is satellite itself, because each satellite is taking care of a cell or a satellite footprint. Now, that footprint can have handle a lot of users, but the more users it will handle, the smaller the basically bandwidth to each customer will go down. Now, if you want to assume in today's world that you want to give at least 100 Mbps, to give 100 Mbps to, let's say, 1000 customer in one cell area, one satellite barely able to do that. So flat out, that itself is a limitation. Another aspect is how quickly that satellite can transmit that data utilizing laser to another system. That is the choke point. Now, what does that mean for customer? That simply means if the, SpaceX cannot solve that issue right now, the bottleneck will become severe, and once their customer count will goes up, their free internet will become capped internet. That's the only change will happen. If they are not growing exponentially, they will reach a point where there's like, once they have a lot of customer, they're like, dude, now we can only give you 1 terabyte of data. So that is one serious aspect. Another thing is, right now they have not made sure their priority of mobile customers. Mobile customers basically customers who are on the move. For example, cruise ships. Now there are cruise ships that gives you guarantee of like good Wi-Fi on board and like proper communication of like around 2 or 10 Mbps, whatever have you. They are generally utilize medium earth orbit satellites, and they charge a lot for that. I mean, GG amount of money is charged for that, and people willingly pay for that. We are so addicted to internet, and like, what's the point of having in a cruise ship if you are not sharing it on Instagram? And then we have people about long haul flights. They generally charge a premium for giving you Wi-Fi access on aircrafts. They are also utilizing medium earth orbit. These people will love basically the system, SpaceX system, because if SpaceX can even give them 100 Mbps pipe to these things, they're like, dude, shut up and take my money. It's like, that's free money for them. They're like, dude, that's just free. And truck drivers, basically people who are in a position where they're like moving constantly and they need good internet connection. Right now there is no other alternative, simply because you cannot have mobile tower in every road. You cannot have proper any option. Basically, flat out, this space-based system is the only option, and Starlink is the only one that has already completed the foundation. So flat out, there is a large amount of potential, and especially in international water. The moment you touch international water, regulation does not become an issue anymore. So there's a lot of potential in that market also. Now, cost optimization is the main key, because they are spending money like there is no tomorrow. They have to make sure they recover the investment soon, because if they don't, that could also go bankrupt. And profit maximization, that was the sole reason why this project was undertaken, because Elon Musk realized while SpaceX does make profit, it's solely dependent on NASA. If NASA tomorrow says like no more commercial resupply mission, it will take a large chunk of their profit. Poof, it's just gonna go poof. Commercial resupplies, again, they have ups and downs. It's not a guaranteed system. So some years you will have a lot of commercial launches, other years like meh, not that many. So that will also go poof. So flat out, they realize they need something which they can call homegrown, and that gives them the money profit flat out. Like they should, because if he really wants to dream about mass projects, he needs unlimited bank balance. So to achieve that, SpaceX did the mathematics, and they figured these things out. And their analysis is, if they are spending around few $1 billion on this, they can achieve around upwards of $30 billion profit from USA alone. I'm not talking about Australia, I'm not talking about Canada, I'm not talking about other things else. I'm talking about USA alone. So if this turns out properly, and if regulations are not a big issue, and they actually can improve the bottleneck and all that jazz, they are talking about printing money. So much money that at that point in time it will be like, dude, NASA, I ain't got time to deal with your garbage. It's just like, I'm gonna do my own astronaut program, which cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. They're like, dude, I'm gonna do it myself. Rocket development, I'm gonna do it myself. So SpaceX wants to reach that point of view, and Starlink is the only way they can achieve that. And as of now, as of me making this video, they're on a very high speed path to actually doing that. So by the end of 2022, hopefully you will know someone who has Starlink. So this was my presentation on basically Starlink update. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.